Hello everyone. The topic for the day is organizational structures and design. We will be discussing the various structures, the various design that the organization of today possesses, what they adopt, what particular structure they adopt, why a particular design is being preferred over other design. So the purpose of organizing, let us understand what we are going to learn today in this 25 minutes of the video. We need to do about organizing. Organization is nothing but divisions of work into specific jobs, which can be bifurcated into various departments. So in organization, there can be a numbers of finance functional verticals. Based on the further functional verticals, it can be further fabricated into jobs and criteria like that. So then this job needs to be defined and assigned to a task and responsibilities associated to an individual. We need to coordinate diverse organizational tasks, cluster each jobs into a particular unit, or we may reclassify a certain kind of jobs into a certain kind of units altogether. So establish a role between individual groups and department, tell them their objectives around it, define the individual objective which needs to be integrated to the group objective. The group objectives must align with the departmental objective. Establish a formal line of authority, allocates and deploy organizational resources that we come across with it. Let us understand the various organizational structures as why we are having it. Need to understand the formal arrangement of jobs within an organization, and that's the primary reason for having an organizational structure in the first place. The formal arrangement, that means who are responsible for what kind of jobs and what particular duties and functions that one individual will be performing. I repeat, what particular duties and responsibilities that an individual should be functioning for an organization. The organizational design, a process involving decision in about six key elements. The word is six key elements which are depicted as work specialization. Remember, a particular work which you are very fond of or which you can specialize or you can be very conversant with that work. Then comes about departmentalization. So we are going from a smaller circle to a bigger circle of a department that we're talking around it. Then comes the chain of command as to who is responsible for this particular department work. So we are increasing the chain of command and responsibility. Then comes the span of control. Is this gentleman would be looking into certain similar kind of organization or certain similar kind of work and department altogether, that needs to be specified in the span of control. Then we have the process of centralization and decentralization, where the power is vested at one particular point is all about centralization, but where the power is not vested in one particular point but are divested in different particular point are known as decentralization, as the picture that I am trying to depict to you will show it. And last but not least is the formalization process that we goes organizational design. We'll talk about the work specialization, the degree to which a task in an organization are divided into separate fragmented jobs which needs to be completed by individual person are aligned to the tasks. Remember, the tasks has been further bifurcated into jobs which he or she needs to finish within time. Departmentalizations by type, what are they? They can be based on functional. Let's say we have a finance by function, we have a security by function, we have got infrastructure maintenance by function, we have IT or computerized peripheries by function. So grouping job by function performed, or it can be departmentalized by product. Let's say we have got product A, product B, product C. If it is a FMCG products, fast moving consumer group, let's say we'll talk about soaps, we can talk about foams, we can talk about toothpaste as a different product from the same company. Then there can be something called geographical departmentalization. Depending on the different part of the world that the jobs can be based on the territory and the geography grouping of the jobs, we can also decentralize, departmentalize, or should I say classify by the terms called process wherein a particular jobs of a basis, the flow, it might depend on the flow of the production, or let's say the consumption of the customer. We can also departmentalize by the type of customers, as in a B2B customers, business to business, business to end customer, or B2C customer, grouping by the type of customer that we are looking at. Is it a wholesale customer? Is it a retail customer? Is it a fragmented carrier and forwarding customer? Is it just your vendor who is acting as a customer for the sake of it? Next comes the functional departmentalization. Now you look at the functional departmentalization. Did I say about accounting, manufacturing, human resource purchasing, which can be shown in this wonderful ornogram that has been given to you? The advantages are what? They improve efficiency by putting together similar specialities and people with common skills, knowledge, and orientation. Something which are very useful, wherein a person can chip in case somebody is feeling sick or somebody has called it a leave, taken a leave for the day. We can have coordination within the functional because each of them, remember, are aware of what the other person is doing. So there is a proper coordination. In-depth specialization automatically happens when we are talking about efficiency being putting together. The disadvantage might be poor communication across the functional areas. At times, people might not appreciate the status or the situation of the other departmental. Next is the limited view of the organizational goals as a result, wherein one is very much myopic in nature, would not like to leave the organization and watch the organization as a whole. So there might be a limited viewpoints because you are only limited to a certain function, certain work, or specificities people around it. Comes, let us discuss geographical departmentation. We said based on different geographies, look at it, the western region, the southern region, the midwestern region, the eastern region has been done in this particular ornogram. If you look, the vice president of sales is manning everywhere, whereas the sales director of various regions of the world, or probably of the country that we can talk around it. What are the advantages? More effective and efficient handling of a specific regional issues. Definitely yes, we can have a pinpoint factors on a one particular issues might affect, where it might not affect the other particular issues. As far as eastern region are concerned, maybe there might be rainy season, maybe there is a cyclonic tropical storm that is going around it, but the other region might be spared from it altogether. So it is more effective and efficient in handling specific regional issues that arise. Needs to serve needs for unique geographic markets better. This are very true. The disadvantages, on the other hand, is duplication of function. Why there is duplication? Because the same function has been repeated twice, thrice, perhaps n numbers time as per the classification of geographical base the company has fragmented into. Can often feel isolated from other organizational areas because they might not be as integrated as can be perceived. They might be working in a silos altogether, every region working in the silos. Let us now discuss product departmentalization. Product departmentalization, did I say about those shampoos, those soaps, the toothpaste? Now look at it. We have given a different ornogram for your understanding. You need to understand the mass transit division, the Bombardier Rotrick division for Vienna, rail and diesel divisions. Similarly, logistic industrial environment. It's depending upon the several kind of products that we are looking into it. Right from here, it fragmented into four products altogether. On a mass transit, there are only two products. For retail product, there is only one end of products altogether. So, what are the benefits and what are the demerits of the product departmentalization? Look here, these three are a benefit, which means this allows specialization in a particular products and services. Managers can become expert in their industry. They are very close. They can form a bond with their customer. This is what the advantages would be because they are exposed to a limited product and limited taste of the clients and the customer that we are talking about it. On the other hand, the demerits are out here, which is mentioned. again a duplication of the works which can be taken again into consideration. There is definitely a myopic view of the organization, since everybody is obsessed with their own product line and probably not looking at the larger goals that the organization envisages. Now let us discuss process departmentalization. This is where the process has been department. The one particular work has been broken down into several particular jobs, which has been further bifurcated into several types of tasks. We are talking about the sewing department, the planning and milling department, the assembly department, the lacquering and the sanding department, the finishing department, the inspection and the shipping department. Just to give you a bird's eye view what how you can break a work into a job and a job into a task, and so about it. The advantages is it's becoming more efficient flow of work activities. This is a big plus point, whereas the big negative point is which can be used only for certain products and might not be universally acceptable. This is the flaw of the process departmentalization. Remember, process departmentalization. Now let us talk about customer departmentalization. Look here, we have the retail customers, we have the wholesale customer, we have the government customers or the bulk customers, or we have the business customers altogether. The added advantage is, I hope this particular ornogram serves your product purpose altogether. It is very lucidly placed, and I'm telling it to you, there's only one advantage is because you are getting focused, you funneling all your customer requirement at one hand, so you can study the customer feedback and proactively address them. That is the advantages of this customer departmentalization, because they can be handled by the specialists. On the other hand, the demerits are there are multiple duplication of the functions. There is a limited view of the organizational goals because everybody gets obsessed with their own particular customer that he or she might be handling. We talk about the designs. Since the structures has been completed, now we'll talk about the organizational designs, the chain of command, the unity, the strength, the authority. Where does it lie? Where does the power lie? The continuous line of authority that extends from the upper level of the organization to the lowest of the organization clarifies who as to who reports to whom. So we are talking from the top down approach and the bottom down approach, as the case might be. This is what needs to be understood as to what are the vertical relationships. We will talk about the authorities as this here. Authorities are the rights to inherent in a managerial position to tell the people what to do and what to expect from them. The responsibility, on the other hand, is the obligations or the expectation which is being bestowed upon them from the top management, that you need to fulfill certain responsibility. The unity of command is, on the other hand, is the concept that the person should have only one person to report to, one person to take instruction from, or one person to consider as a boss. That is what the organizational design is all about, based on authority, based on responsibility, on unity of command. Then comes the span of control, very pertinent, very relevant as of today. The number of employees who can be effectively and definitively efficiently supervised by the managers often varies from vertical to vertical, industry to industry, authors to authors, and managers capability. It depends upon the which span is affected by the skills and ability of the managers. As I said it earlier, we need to understand how supportive the employees are, how vibrant the employees are, how proactive or destructive the employees are. Along with it, only can we then predict the span of control. Characteristics of the work being done is very important, where it is rudimentary in character, where it is mechanistic in character, where it involves no decision making. Characteristics of work done, it becomes a very simple work. The span of control can be bigger and higher. Similarity of task is again where you can actually take the task at one go and can detect any anomaly out there. The complexity of the task is as simple or as easy or as complex or as difficult the task is there to finish. Physical proximity of the subordinates, Herein, the power distance lies between the managers and the subordinates, or so should I say, the supervisors and the subordinates, the managers and supervisors, the directors and managers. What is the physical proximity? Do you have an access to them on a day to day basis or not? That is what is required. And last but not the least is the standardization of the task needs to be accomplished, needs to be done. There are no three ways, there is only one opinion as to what an acceptable standard is. Contrasting span of control is the highest assuming span of 4, which goes around it. It is based on the author. Some say, look at it, a top fellow can manage more than 4,096 employees if he is only managing able to manage 4. On return, every 4 is going to manage rest 4. On return, every one is going to manage rest 4. That is what the downline is all about it. And in 6 or 7 levels he is able to, this gentleman or this lady who is at helming at the top is able to manage in excess of 4096 employees altogether. Similarly, assuming the span of control is 8, it is within 5 levels only you can manage similar kind of strength, similar kind of employee. So believe or not, this is what is span of control. It is just the way you go to go around it, but depending upon the complexity of the workers, the obedience of the employees has to be taken into account. The factors, environmental and otherwise, needs to be taken into account in terms of industry. So we'll talk about the centralizations of power, of decision making, of resource allocating, the centralization of the process, the degree to which decision making is concentrated at a single point in the organization in which top manager makes all decision, lower level managers simply, most importantly, simply obey them, carry out these orders. The decentralization organization in which decision making is pushed down to the managers, wherein every manager is supposed to take relevant decision, is being empowered to take what is right for them and according to their understanding, what will be the right decision on behalf of the organization. They are encouraged to take it. Employee empowerment, increase the decision making authority of the employees, and so on and so forth. Factors that influence the amount of centralization. More centralization means what? Means there is a regularity in the process, the environment is stable, the lower level managers may not be as capable as has been perceived. In fact, for any stress related work, decision has to come, they has to wait for the upper level managers to give a nod. Lower level managers do not, on the other hand, would I say, have a saying in the decision. They are more so in implementing the decision. Remember, decisions may be relatively minor. Organization is facing a crisis or risk of failure that influences centralization. When there are critical decisions to be taken place, when the resources are very scarce, when things might go out of hand, it is better that the decisions are always centralized. When the company is immense, is huge, is very big, the company is large, centralization should take place. Otherwise there will not be any read to the company on how it is operating. Effective implementation of the company strategies depend on the managers retaining, or say, let's say, over actually happen. Factor that influences the amount of centralization is more decentralization. Why do we have it down out here? Please understand. Now this is, we need to go around it. Environmental is complex and uncertain. This is very true, and wherein you need to take relevant decision at the pick of the time, at the heat of the moment. Lower level managers are equipped, are empowered, are experienced in taking relevant decision. They have a voice in the lower level manager. They matter, and we can depend, we can count on them to take the right decision and steer the company in a profitable zone. Decisions definitely are significant. Corporate cultures is open, allowing managers to have say what it is to be done. That means transparency is the flow of the day. Everything is being transparent. Everything everyone is accessible, everything has been said, done and carried out in a much transparent fashion. Company might be geographically dispersed, it might be located at different countries, different continents, different time zones. Effective implementations of company strategy depends on the managers of having involvement and flexibility of decision. Organization designs in terms of formalization. What exactly would be formalization? Would all about it. You have to tell and you have to understand the degree to which jobs are standardized, probably whether behaviors are explicitly explained in detail, given, stated in the rule book, mentioned in the procedures. Highly formalized jobs offer little, probably no discretion over what exactly needs to be done, where a low formalization job means definitely few constraint or absolutely no constraint on how employees perform on their work. So this is what is required altogether. Organizational design decisions are of two types, that is of mechanistic organization and organic organization. Organic organization and organization which grows on their own, which grows on their own profit, which acquires, which grows. On the other hand, mechanistic organization might be rigid, might be tightly controlled, might be acquired, might be merged together. It is all about specialization. In terms of mechanistic organization, in it might be rigidly departmentalized. Its job work task will be specified, absolutely job description to the last point it will be explaining. Job specification will tell you what kind of person who's going to man that particular job. It means there would be narrow span of control. It has excellently formalized, everything has been planned to the hilt altogether. Limited information network or downward, only people in the know, people in the loop will be kept informed as to what is expected. Low decision participation, since less little people, little things are known in the organization, that means less decision making participation. You are expected to follow the system, you are expected to follow what has been dictated towards you. On the other hand, the organic organization is highly receptive, is highly flexible, is highly adaptive. That means it is bound to survive the dynamic situation. It means non-involved, non-standardized job. It means fluidic team, as on when on basis everyone assumes the role what is required at that point of time. Little or no direct supervision, minimalistic formal rules. Understand the fact that only outcome matters, rule doesn't. Open communication network and empowered employees is what we look at. Mechanistic versus organic organizations. We'll talk about this mechanistic organization. What are they? They are nothing but they are highly specialized. They everything has been known, said, stated. You just follow the dictum. It is rigidly departmentalization, clear chain of command, narrow span of control, centralization, and high formalization. We need to go around this mechanistic organization which states everything in black and white. It is highly specialized, rigidly departmentalized, clear, absolutely clear chain of commands, the narrow span of control. Everything is vested at one particular point. Centralizations, high formalization. Next is about organic cross-functional team. Now, in cross-functional team, everything is fluidic. You need to see people might wear the hat of the other department, other person, and get the things. The show must go on. Cross hierarchical teams, free flow of information means the organization is not at so rigid. In fact, to the point of being transparent as to what are the expected. Wide span of control, it leads to decentralization. And yes, we are talking about low formalization. Remember one thing, both these organizations, be it mechanistic and organic, are highly successful design, organistic design. Some in certain industry, mechanistic organization are extremely successful. On the other hand, in a particular industry, organic organization are extremely successful. You need to adapt to the industry that you are going around. Let us design the organization based on the industry environment and the customer in content, in context. Now we'll talk about the contingency factors. Structural designs are often, more often than not, been influenced by overall strategy of the organization. Organizational structure should follow strategy, or organizational strategy should follow structure. This is a point that you need to ponder upon and come out with suitable suggestion. Now comes the size of the solution organization. Remember, in an organization, the bigger the organization it becomes, it makes sense to be centralized. Whereas firm changes emphatically from an organic organization to a mechanistic organization as they grow in size, when they don't place any responsibility duties on person specific, but would love to have a system in place, checks and balances within the system that enables the organization to be on the right path. We'll talk about the technology by the use which the organization adopts. Firm adapt their structures to the technology they use in the firm. And yes, the environment is very fluidic of late. The environment is very dynamic environment require organic structures, mechanistic structures needs stable environment. When the environment changes from time to time, moment to moment, day to day, week to week, month to month, geographic to geography, time zone to time zone, you need to be in an organic setup, whereas everything is more or less settled down. Mechanistic structures will equally good. So strategy frameworks are all about innovation, persuasion, competitive advantage through meaningful dialogue. Cost minimization is the factor that keeps on minding. Then comes the limitations, minimizing risk and maximizing profitability by copying market leaders, mimicking the market leaders. We stress upon innovation, we stress upon reducing our cost, and definitely opportunities here and there. Talking about which comes first, strategy or structure, you need to decide on the goals that needs to be that the organization is posed upon. Accordingly, whether structure comes first or the strategy needs to be supportive of the structure, so on and so forth. Similarly, size and structure is also a viable option which needs to be taken into consideration before designing the organization. As the organization grow, its structure tends to change from organic to mechanistic. True, very truly said. The younger organization, smaller organization are all organic. People takes a hands-on experience, hands-on interest in implementing the growth road of the organization. But as it grows manifold, probably people get to lose in touch with one another, and we would love to have a system in place can do the requisite things. Then comes the technology and structures. Organization adapt their structures to the technology of what they are adopting. Is it a digital platform that we are looking into it? Now, Woodward's classification of firms are based on what? It can be on unit production, mass production, and process production. These three things that needs to be tailor made. Is it by order? Is it a bulk production? Is it a process production? Then comes the routine technology and non-routine technology. In terms of non-routine, it is an organic organization, whereas in terms of routine technology, it will be a mechanistic organization. Talking about the structural characteristics, you look into it. What we have a low platforms, low vertical platform, low differentiation, anything and everything. It is a most effective structure. Look at what is happening with the mass production. When it is a moderate vertical differentiation or high horizontal differentiation, we need to go for mass production. When this is process production, is high vertical differentiation and low, very low or nil horizontal differentiation, is all about low formalizations about production. Contingency factors are environmental uncertainty and structures. Mechanistic organization structures tends to be most effective in simple environment, in stable environment, whereas the flexibility of organic organization are best suited for a complex environment, for a dynamic environment. Then comes the traditional design. The simple structures are low departmentalization. The simple structures or functional structures are by departmental by function in terms of operation, finance, human resource, product and research and development. Divisional are composed of separate business units or business divisions altogether under the coordination and control over the pay. corporation. We talk about the simple structures, which what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses. Remember, simple structures are flexible and expensive. Weaknesses probably with the dynamic environment or as the organization grows, it might not be very pertinent. Functional structure, it might be very cost saving. The weakness might be pursuing only of one particular functional goal. It you might not achieve all the functional goals. On the other hand, the divisional structures are strength in focus. The result division managers are responsible. The weakness is duplication of activities and resource increase. With this, I come to an end of this particular presentation. Thank you for watching this video.